Hello, today we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to download and play Yerm Crazy Craft. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to your Discord and go to the most Yermly server, come all the way down to Yerm Crazy Craft, and go to the files section. There you should find this Yerm Crazy Craft 1.0.zip. You're going to want to click download on this. Discord will say it's a potentially dangerous download. It is not. That's just warning you because there are potentially dangerous things on Discord. You're just going to click continue to download and then go to the next step. I'm not going to download it because I already have. And then we are going to head over to CurseForge. Now, you will need CurseForge downloaded on Overwolf in order to do this. I will leave a link to that in the information section. But what you're going to do is you're going to come up to Create Custom Profile in the top right here. And you're going to see where it says, or import a previously created profile. You're going to click on import, and it's going to pop up with your files. Now, if you've just downloaded the Yerm Crazy Craft 1.0, that should be right there. So you should click open on that, and then it's going to start downloading this. Depending on how fast your computer is, this could take 1 minute, could take 5. Alright, mine has just finished downloading, so we're going to click on this, not on play, just on the file. And then you're going to see it's popped up here. Yerm Crazy Craft mine says 1 because I've got another one on it. And it's going to have your mod list down here and everything. We're going to go to these 3 dots, and we're going to click on Profile Options. Here's where you could change the picture or the name of it. But we're going to click on memory settings. We're going to decheck this use system memory settings. This is where you can choose how much RAM you want to allow this profile to use. I suggest somewhere between 6 and 8 gigabytes, which would be somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 megabytes here. Depending on how much RAM your computer has, you may want to do more or less. And when you're in Minecraft, you can see how much RAM you're actually using, which you can adjust accordingly. So once you set that, just want to click done. From that point, you can click play. Quick note, you will see that there is an action to update. Do not update those because it will mismatch the version on your client with the server and it could cause issues. Alright, I'm in the pack, and there's a couple settings that I want to make sure everyone's aware of before we get into the fun stuff. The first thing is that you need to make sure that you are playing in full screen. You can just use F11 to make sure of that, but make sure you are in full screen. This pack does not play well in windowed or windowed full screen. You can try it if you really want, but from testing, we have found that it does not perform well if not in full screen. Most of these settings, you can kind of just choose at will. There is no Optifine in this pack, for those wondering, but there is other mods that help with performance. You can see, as I'm hovering over render distance, it says performance impact. If you are having performance issues or want to maximize frame rates, you're going to want to be looking for those performance impacts of high and extreme. Your low and mediums aren't going to do too much. You can change them if you'd like, though. See, most of these quality ones are just low and medium. These aren't going to do a ton. But if we get to advanced, like chunk multi-draw, you can see that's extreme. So you guys can kind of go through and look at this individually. But in terms of settings, absolutely want to play in full screen. The next thing I want to talk about are controls. If you've never played modded Minecraft before, you might be surprised by how many controls there are, because there are an intimidating amount. Now, luckily, there are ways to help make this a little bit easier for you. So the first thing is there's a search bar here. The search bar lets you search for any control, which is going to be what's on the left here. So for example, if I type in jump, it just shows jump. If I type in sneak, it'll show sneak. Pretty simple. That will work for any of these controls that are displayed on the left here. Now if we go to category, that will show us we can search by these categories which are in the middle. So it'll show us any controls listed under these categories. And when you hover over the control, it shows the category it's in as well. So for example, if I type in movement, it'll show us everything underneath movement. This is helpful for sorting by mods. So if I wanted to sort by all the controls in the morph mod, I could type morph. And it shows me all of these controls that you can set up for the morph mod. The other filter setting is key. This is just simply the key that's pressed. So if I type a V in here, it'll show me every single control that is bound to V. A lot of different mods set up different defaults. This creates a lot of conflicts. So if there's some control that's not working and you're pressing a button, it might be worth it to go in your controls and see what other things are bound to that key. For those who do not know, you can simply unbind any key or any control by clicking on it and then pressing the escape key. This will completely wipe it, so you don't need to rebind it with some other obscure thing. You can then click reset to bring it back if you need to. A very helpful tip is to take advantage of your number pad on the right side of your keyboard. A lot of those keys are left unbinded by several mods, so those can be very helpful for binding less used keys. Okay, I've hopped in game to show a few things. The first of which is JEI, or Just Enough Items. This is the mod that adds essentially a revamped recipe book, and it shows every single possible item to get in the entire game. You can search this via the search bar at the bottom, and typing in any item will pop it up. So if I type in dirt, look at that, dirt pops up, as well as coarse dirt, and every other modded item that has dirt in the name. For example, ender slime dirt. Searching can also be done by filtering, because there are a lot of items here, so filtering them can make it a lot less daunting to look at and give you a smaller subset. So the main way to filter is by typing in @ which is shift 2, and then typing in the name of a mod. So if I just type in Minecraft here, it's just going to show me items from Minecraft. You'll see if I scroll through here, it's just Minecraft, base Minecraft items. And then within that filter, I can then search for specific things. If I type in dirt now, you'll see it's just dirt and coarse dirt, the only things that are in Minecraft relating to dirt. I mean, I can also search by tooltip if I use a hashtag or a number symbol. This will give me any items that have whatever I've typed in for this filter in their tooltip. So, for example, if I type in plant, it will show me every item in the game that has plant in its tooltip. So botany pots show that they have a tooltip for plants, so they're popping up. This can be very helpful when you're trying to find items that can be used with other items, I guess. Something to remember when doing filtering is that if you are trying to filter using multiple words, for example, if I wanted to look at the mod Mystical Agriculture, if I just typed in @mystical and then agriculture, it's just looking for the mod mystical or any mods that have mystical at the start, and then it's searching those mods for agriculture. So you will have to do a second @ in order to continue that search. The reason you might want to do that is because there's some mods that are mystical, start with the word mystical, but do not end with agriculture. And if you just want to look at mystical agriculture, you can do that. JEI also has a fancy feature where you can look up recipes of items. For example, if I click on brick stairs, just left click, it's going to show me the crafting recipe for brick stairs, as well as any other means of getting it, such as via a stone cutter or removing reinforcement from security craft. Now, this can also be helpful if I look at something like a stick. If I click on it or use the R key, it shows me all the recipes for stick as well as all of these different modded things. Now, on the contrary, I can use right click or the U key on my keyboard, and it shows me every crafting recipe a stick is used in. For example, signs, or going to like magic workbench, you can make a bone chill wand. Another couple things we have is we have feed the beast icons, which are going to appear in your top left. These 4 icons are operator things, since I am an op in this world, but we will not be on the server. First thing is just a simple trash can. Anything you put in this trash can will get deleted. If I give myself a bunch of dirt, I'm like, I have this all in my inventory, I don't want it, just click on my trash can, put it all in there. When I exit out of this, it will be completely gone. Other things we have are Feed the Beast teams. So you can go up to Feed the Beast teams, which is just my team, and you can create a party or join a party if someone else has one. So you create a party, you just type in what you want, team yay, right? And you can change the color up here as well if you'd like. Let's do purple, I suppose, and you're done, right? This party system can be used to kind of progress through the game with other players. This will make more sense when I show the other Feed the Beast things. For example, Feed the Beast quests. This is the questing system. It's not fully fleshed out right now. That will be coming in the full version of the server. But if you are in a team with someone, as you complete these quests, everyone on your team will be able to claim the items, so you can work together to progress through these. These are pretty self-explanatory. You just click on them and they show you what they require. Another Feed the Beast thing we have are Feed the Beast chunks. So if you click on this in the top left here, and click again in the top left at Claim Chunks, you will see all the chunks around you. Now, you can claim these chunks by left-clicking on the chunk, and you will see down here in the bottom left, it pops up, I've claimed 1 out of 500. So each team has a maximum of 500 claimed chunks, and you can just go around and claim all of these as you want. And in these claimed chunks, only your team will be able to do certain things like break blocks, build, use certain items like chests or machines, whatnot. The other reason this is super helpful is because if you see down here, we have force loaded. You can essentially force load chunks, and these chunks will always be loaded into the server. So normally, any chunks that the player is next to is what's loaded in on the server. However, if you force load a chunk, the player is not necessary to be there. And in fact, the player doesn't need to be online. As long as that chunk is force loaded, if the server is on, that chunk will be loaded. This is extremely helpful if you have things like automatic farms or grinders that you want to be constantly running. Or if you have like a machine that's like doing auto processing or something, you want that to be force loaded because you want that to always be running. Just to reiterate the controls, left click claims a chunk, right click unclaims a chunk. Shift left click on a claimed chunk force loads the chunk, shift right click on a force loaded chunk unforce loads the chunk. I wanted to briefly talk about the F3 menu, because I know not many people know how to read this. There's several important things to point out here. The first of which is in the top left, that's where you're going to see your FPS. It should be sitting around 60 for most people. If you go down past that first block of text to the second one on the left side, it says XYZ. Those are your coordinates. So if you need chords, that's where they are. In this image, it's -179, 67, 121. The last important thing is going to be in the top right. It's going to say mem, and then a percentage, and then a number divided by a number. So the mem percentage is how much percent of the RAM you've allocated you're using. So the first number is going to be how much RAM it's using, and then divided by is that second number, and that's going to be how much you've allocated. If that number is consistently like 80, 90, 100%, that's when you need to start thinking about adding more RAM to your profile if possible. Because if you're seeing freezing or like game lag and that number is above like 80-90% a lot, when it hits 100 your game lags pretty bad, so just keep that in mind. And if that number is like consistently below like 50, then you might want to lower the amount of RAM you have, because A, you're kind of just wasting it, and B, having too much RAM can cause issues similarly to not having enough. Just be forewarned about that. Another thing that's kind of important to mention is that purple text at the bottom of the right side menu. The very last number that says TPS, that should always or almost always be 20. If that number ever drops lower than 20, that means the server is lagging and you're going to experience issues. So if you're trying to determine if there's server lag or it's just your client lagging, check that number, because if that TPS is lower than 20, it means the server's lagging. Now, generally, if it's somewhere between 15 and 20, you won't notice it too much, but if it starts to get below 10, below 5, you're really going to start experiencing lag, and if it hits like 1 or 0, the server's going to crash. So if you see this TPS start to get low, stop doing high-intensity things. Anything that would cause a regular Minecraft game to crash will cause the server to crash. Just keep that in mind. So last thing to talk about are the quality of life commands that we have in this server. So the first one is a /home command. So in order to set a home, you do /set home, and then you can name the home, whatever you want, or you can leave it blank. I prefer to leave it blank. It makes it a little bit easier when typing in the command later. So if you do /set home, bam, a home is set. I can then come over here and then do /home, and then you would need to type the name of the home, but if you've just left it blank, you can just leave it blank, and it teleports you right back here. Pretty neat. As of now, you can only have one home. However, with quests coming in the full version of the server, we will probably add an option or a way to get more homes. The other command that I want to bring your attention to is /back. This will take you to the last place you teleported from. So for example, if I do it now, it takes me to where I was before I used /home. This will also take you to your last death point. This is just quality of life. If you want to use it, you can. If you don't have to. Up to you, just letting you know it's there. That should be everything for this guide. Thank you for watching, and have fun on the Yerm server.